Welcome, homeowners, proactive homeowners. We're happy to have you here. This is the webinar entitled The New World of Real Estate and Retirement Living. My name is Brian Schwatka. I'm a realtor and transition specialist with Keller Williams Bay Area Estates in Los Gatos. And I'm here today with Jason Broberg, who's the Sales and Marketing Director at Brookdale in San Jose. How you doing, Jason?
Hey Brian, thanks for having me. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Really excited about our webinar, not only today on the new world of real estate and retirement living, but it's going to be about once a month. Brian and I will get together and talk on a bunch of different topics. Really excited about that. So, Brian, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself?
All right. I have been a realtor since 2004. I'm in Los Gatos, so I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. We've gone up and down a few times since then. I work with homeowners of all ages, but I really do enjoy working with my retirees, my seniors. I've taken my education to the next level to help seniors better. So I'm a seniors real estate specialist. I'm a certified seniors advisor and a self-proclaimed transition specialist, and that's what I want to do, is turn you into a transition specialist yourself. So my purpose in business is solely to help homeowners make the best decisions for their future, whether they're staying or whether they're going. And the way I do that is through education, through these webinars, through videos, personal consultations. What I do is I help the homeowner decide if they should stay or if they should go. And I know you're thinking, well, it's a realtor. You probably want to stick a sign in my lawn and he's going to convince me to go. And that's not what I'm all about. The website is Stay or Go Homeowner. Like I said, my goal is just to help you make good decisions, the best decisions for your future. So first we figure out if you should go. Then we decide where you're going to go. That might be a new, smaller home. That might be a retirement community. Which retirement community? What are the pros and cons of those communities? Or you might want to relocate out of the area, and I have a network of realtors that I can hook you up with. So once we know that, that's going to give you that clarity, that certainty, that confidence you need to break that paralysis of analysis that I'm sure you have. And then once you've done that, then I help homeowners to, save them time, money, and frustration in selling their homes. And my goal there is to make a nice, smooth transition from your current home to your next move, your next chapter in your life. So I've created the website, stayorgohomeowner.com. It just asks you three questions. Who are you? I might want to go. Where would I go? I'm ready to go. And if you want to check up on me, you can type my very unique last name into Google, Brian Schwatka. I think there's probably only one of me. And you can check me out. There's testimonials and videos and classes and lots of things. So where did this webinar and this webinar series come from? How did it come to be? And the story goes back to March of last year. I know you know all of that. 2020 of March, the whole Corona thing hit. And I, was giving classes in small rooms to seniors who are high risk category, and that all went away. And I thought, geez, how are we going to get the message out? So I called all my seniors, because I work with them getting them into retirement communities, and I asked them these questions of, hey, if the retirement community called you today, would you go? And I got 100% no. No one was going to a retirement community in March of 2020. Everything stopped. And so their concerns and their questions, the first one, their concern was, hey, we don't want to go anywhere. We want to shelter in place in our own familiar home. And I get it. I completely understand that. My mom was the same way. She wasn't going anywhere. She said she's going to wait till the shelter in place has ended and it's safe to come out again. And we all thought, oh, a couple months we'll be done with this. And we're coming up on a year of this, and it might be the new normal. So I think we've got to just grow and change. So another thing that they were concerned with was that they didn't want to have to worry about the other residents at the community, and vice versa, right? So they're concerned about their health and well-being of themselves and others. And then they started to talk about the community. They said, I want that community to be that cruise ship on land. Is that vibrant way of life still going on there? And is the management prepared for all of this? Because how often does a pandemic happen? So, these were valid concerns. And what I did was I called my retirement communities that I worked with, told them that there's a perception problem going on out here. And what are we going to do about that? And we put these webinars together to educate homeowners, and not to convince them to go, but just to educate and make them aware that it's safe. It's actually safer. And Jason is going to talk about that at the end of this presentation. We're going to talk about how Brookdale handled all of this. So our agenda for today, I'm going to talk about the real estate timeline. We're going to talk about deciding whether you should occupy your home while it's on the market. That's if you're selling or not, or you should vacate. So, and there's some creative things to do in that decision. Also, how to safely sell a home during a shelter in place. There's new ways of doing it. The whole presentation is called The New World of Real Estate and the New World of Retirement Living. So we'll talk a little bit about current market conditions because it's, that changes all the time. We'll talk about new marketing techniques to minimize the number of people through your home. We used to want to maximize the number of people through your home. Now we just want the serious people. And then we'll talk about how Brookdale has provided all of the safeguards to support the residents and their staff during this, and then we'll do the Q&A at the end. So what's new in 2021? Nothing's really new yet. We're just in it here. We're in February of 2021, and I think everybody's still kind of up in the air. We were looking for everything to go back to normal, and I think really it's a new normal. And I think actually if you want to look at it in a positive way, remember how 9/11 made us, we didn't want to take off our shoes and we didn't want to dump out our water, but we did, and we felt safer at the airport. And I think that that's what this COVID-19 is going to do, is going to help us live our lives a little cleaner, a little safer. But I don't think we should expect everything just to go back to the way it was. But we shouldn't be fearful either. We should learn and grow. We should change quickly because everything around us is changing so quickly. We need to communicate better, and we are. We're embracing technology. Look, you're on a webinar that you might not have done before this. So these are all good things. We're staying healthy. We're staying safe. And now I just want to point out too what's going to happen when you're ready to do a transition. And a little bit of a caveat here. This presentation I use when I'm talking to homeowners who may be going to a community where there's an actual buy-in, hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy in to these communities, maybe $500,000 to $1 million. And that all has to happen by the time the Jason of the community would say, hey, your unit is ready, come down and place your 10% deposit. 60 days later, the other 90% has to be at the community to pay for that unit so then you can move into it. So this 60-day transition is very stressful. Now, the great thing about Brookdale is they don't have a big, huge buy-in, so you can move to Brookdale first and then do all of this. This is everything that's going to happen in a real estate transaction, and everything on the left of on the MLS under home preparation, this is all stuff that I want you to start thinking about earlier, sooner than later. These are all things that we can do now while we're waiting for the call from Jason that says your unit is ready. We can do our downsizing, our inspections, our disclosures. We can make some repairs. We can do some pre-marketing. Some really exciting new pre-marketing is happening right now. And so let's start earlier than later, okay? That's going to reduce your stress big time. Now, after that on the MLS, when we're on, this happens really fast. That 30 days goes very quickly. I have other videos, or if you want to talk about everything that happens in a real estate transaction, those are different webinars, different classes, but a lot is going on there. And what I want you to think about is, do you want to occupy your home while all of this is going on, or do you want to vacate, hand the keys over to a realtor, and have them handle all of this while you're on the cruise ship on land at Brookdale? So lots to think about, but the main thing, the number one thing I tell people is think about if you want to live there while it's on the market. And sometimes the question is, do you have those funds to give to the retirement community and then go there and then sell this vacant home? Or do you need to sell the home because maybe all of your nest egg is in the floor and you have to get those funds to give to the retirement community before you can move there, so you might have to occupy. So there are creative ways to get around this, but I want you to know that selling a vacant home is much easier, much faster, much safer for everybody involved. Now, if you or someone you know is going to a retirement community where they need that money first, that buy-in first, then we need to think about some options for you sellers who want to vacate early. There's two stages. Let's say you didn't want to be there while the home was on the market. You could stay with your friends and family. You could move to maybe an extended stay hotel. You could pack up your things, or you could just downsize your things and put them in a separate area. Or you can move to Brookdale, a month-to-month retirement community that makes it so much easier on you. Now, if you're, someone is going to a place where there's a buy-in, you may have to gather these funds in some other way rather than selling your home. Like maybe if you have a rental unit or a vacation home, maybe you could liquidate that first, then take those funds and give it to the retirement community first. You could sell some stocks, but I wouldn't want you to sell stocks because you're going to pay capital gains taxes on selling those stocks. And you're also going to pay capital gains taxes when you sell your home, and you're going to get a double whammy that year when you pay your taxes. So kind of shy away from selling those stocks, those investments, because you want to kind of let them ride. You can also get what's called a home equity line of credit to pay for home repairs, home preparation, for maybe the hotel that you want to stay in while you're not living there. Maybe part of the buy-in at the retirement community. You can use those home equity lines of credit for $150,000 or so. In some cases, you might need a personal loan because you, let's say, aren't working. And if you go to a lender and say, hey, I would need a loan, they're like, well, where's your job? What's your income like? You might not qualify for a loan. But there are personal loans that, like angel investors or bridge loans, that we can hook you up with to get those funds. You can do a combination of any of those, but in the long run, the thread that's going to go throughout this entire presentation is to start thinking ahead, start engaging with the people. Don't wait until you're in a reactive mode. We want to make things happen, not wait for things to happen. So let's be proactive. If you think you're not going to be going for a year, there's still homework and things we can be doing all along the line to make it less stressful when you are ready to make that transition. Okay. So our number one concern in you selling a home or marketing a home, there are some rules and they're all geared around health and safety. So here are the ground rules, whether you're occupying your home or vacating your home. Realtors and real estate is considered essential service. People need to find places to live. So we can do things that other people might not be able to do in a shelter in place. And we also have some services that can come to your home on a one-time basis, and they can take pictures, we can do staging, we can do inspections, everything it takes to get that home ready to go on the market or sell the home is allowed during all of this COVID shelter-in-place thing. But there are, since there was such a backlog, and you'll see in the numbers that we're going to talk about of what happened to the real estate market from March to, say, June of last year, everything kind of came to a screeching halt. And all of the subcontractors, like your painters, landscapers, flooring people, all of those people couldn't work, and all of the business built up behind them, and now they're super busy. So it's really hard to find plumbers, electricians, and things like that right now. But we can. Also, open houses are not permitted, which is a good thing for you. You don't want people coming through your home too much. We're not giving out brochures and handouts anymore. We're doing these, everything is done on the lawn sign. So we have a new static lawn sign where you just walk up to the sign with your phone. As you're going to take a picture of this, your camera will sense the QR code. It will take you right to a website. The website is youraddress.com, and they can learn everything they need to learn just by walking by the home, and they're not taking pamphlets and dropping them all over the neighborhood. So we're growing, we're adapting, it's the new way of doing real estate. And like I said, the number one concern is your health and safety. So the rule is, if a virtual showing is not practical, like if they see the pictures online and they want a private showing, which of course is 100% of the people, they're not going to just buy a home by looking at it online, they're going to have to come to a vacant home. So if you're still living there, you're going to have to leave the premises. It used to be you could go in the backyard. Now you have to actually leave. And there are a lot of people coming through because there's not a lot of inventory out there. So we are getting people through, but home must be vacant. There can only be one realtor. There's only a maximum of 2 people from the same household viewing the property, and they're only going to be there for a few minutes, and they need to sign this document. It's called a Property Entry Advisory and Declaration Form, PEAD. Everyone must sign this document before they come through your home. So in that document, really what it's saying is you're not currently afflicted with COVID. You haven't been in contact with anybody within the last 14 days. You're not experiencing any symptoms, the buyer or the seller. Proof that they can actually purchase the home, not that they're just looky-looing, going around the neighborhood looking at houses. All that's over with. We're not doing that anymore. And that they've seen it online and that they agree to follow the safe showing practices, which are they have to be financially approved. They're only going to stay for 5 minutes. They're going to maintain social distancing. They're going to not be touching things and opening things. So, the doors and drawers will be left open, closet doors, so they can see in without touching and moving everything. And we supply them with PPE materials so that they can be safe during their visit. See what I'm saying? It's so much easier to be selling a vacant home, not having to wipe everything down afterwards. So that's the safe showing protocols. Now, what I want to do is transition to the actual health of the real estate market, of what's going on right now. Right now, inventory, or your competition, the homes in your neighborhood, is extremely low. What are there? 2.5 million people in Silicon Valley, and there's only 500 homes on the market. So the buyer demand is really there. The inventory is really low. Things are selling very quickly, multiple offers. And when you have low inventory, what happens? Prices go up, right? There's not as many to buy, so each thing that you can buy is more expensive. So this is great for sellers. It's a seller's market. And it's also a buyer's market as well, because interest rates are so low. And also, there's a lot of buyers out there who have that fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and they're kind of clamming up. And I think that's why we have low inventory too, is because all the sellers are kind of clamming up as well, and everybody's sort of on lockdown. But now that we're coming up on a year of this, I think, we're starting to get out there more, a little bit more. And I think more sellers are going to start selling. I think there's going to be more buyers buying. But this is all uncertain. No one knows what's going to happen with consumer confidence, with interest rates, with world peace, with the COVID thing, with the president thing. Everything is sort of up in the air, and it's all going to revolve around this word inventory. So we don't really know what the real estate market is going to do this year or next year. All we know is that real estate is white hot right now. So pulled some statistics for those engineers out there who want to see some stats. And I went back to February of last year to January of this year. The red lines are how many homes are on the market. The green line is how many of those homes that were on the market sold. And you can see back in March, April, May, June, they weren't selling as many as were on the market. Then we started to come out of hibernation, and that inventory started getting eaten up very quickly. And now you look at January, and as soon as something comes on the market, it goes. Okay, so we're doing pretty good. Interesting enough, the sales prices of these homes have kind of stayed flat. So we don't really know why. I guess because here's what my theory is on this. We're already inflated. We're already busting at the seams as far as how good we're doing on home prices. And the average in Silicon Valley in the past appreciation rate has been probably, 7 to 10%, and in the good years, maybe even 15%. We were making $100,000 on our homes just by living in them. And I think we got to a breaking point where the buyers were thinking to themselves, I'm not going to pay more than this. This is fair market. And I think that's why the prices have stayed kind of the same. In fact, over the last 5 years, they've been going up, up, up. But I think 2020 was artificially inflated with the sales prices because there just wasn't a lot of homes to sell, and that was inflating the price because of the supply and demand. But I think there's a pattern here, and I think I'm seeing some sort of correction. And as you remember, back in 2007, 2008 to 2009, we lost 40% of our home appreciation, or our values in our home. And that happened very quickly, and it took quite a while to come back. And when you're talking about $1 million home and you lose 40%, that's $400,000 that everybody had to wait 5 years for it just to get back to that point. And if you'll notice, well, you don't see it here, but this ebbs and flows about every 10 years. If you go back 50 years, you'll see every 10 years this happens. Well, in 2018, we hit a high water mark. In 2019, we started to come down, and everybody thought that was the beginning of the down cycle. Now, I still think that that could happen, and like I said, 2020 numbers were inflated on the sales prices. But I think we're due, like I said, for a correction, because I think inventory is going to be increasing. So that's the final Jeopardy question. Answer is inventory. So when someone asks me, hey, how's the real estate market going? What do you think is going to happen in 2021? I just say the word inventory. More homes are going to come on the market. That is due to people leaving Silicon Valley and California. They're leaving because of tax reasons. They're leaving because of political reasons. They're leaving because of companies are exiting the area. 16,000 companies left just within the past year. And I think people are starting to leave. Another reason they're starting to leave, not only is it taxes, but it's actually unemployment. Now, I don't want to sound all gloom and doom here or anything, but due to COVID, restaurants, waiters, waitresses, there are companies that have been affected by this COVID thing, and unemployment is going to start creeping up, which it already is, and people are going to start saying to themselves, hey, maybe it's time to cash out and go somewhere cheaper, okay, less expensive. So they might start leaving. They might start leaving for that reason. They might also start leaving for telecommuting, is the fact that you don't need to live in Cupertino to work at Apple anymore. Apple is saying, go ahead and live in anywhere you want, somewhere that's less expensive. So people might be leaving because of that reason as well. Another reason people might be leaving is the fact that they want a fourth bedroom for an office that they didn't need before. Also, Prop 19 passed, which is you can take your current property taxes to any county in California and take those low property taxes with you to that other county. It used to be only 7 counties participated in this property tax transfer. Well, now you can move pretty much anywhere in California and keep those low property taxes. Also, it's very renter-friendly state here in California. So if you own an investment rental property and you're renting it out, well, the government says, hey, renter, tenant, you don't have to pay your mortgage. Your rent to your landlord, because we know COVID hit you and you might be having some problems, so don't pay your rent, let alone the landlord is over here saying, I still have to pay my mortgage. Okay, so lots of rental things, new taxes, new propositions, telecommuting, unemployment, all of this kind of stuff is adding to the fact that people may be leaving. And normally you'd put your house on the market and nobody on the street has their house on the market. Maybe now you might have some competition. And this might get you thinking, if you have a house that's maybe not all the way upgraded or has some challenges, maybe on a busy street, as more inventory comes on, buyers are going to have more options, and they might think about the other houses. All I can say, like I said, is right now you put something on the market and it's going to sell pretty much immediately. So I kind of been telling people now might be a good time to get while the getting's good, but I'm not trying to instill any false sense of urgency or the sky is falling. I just don't want you to come back and say, Brian, I wish you would have been more upfront with me. So I'm very upfront. If you want my opinion, I'll definitely give it to you. So that's what I think is coming. All right. Now, if you, let's say, are ready to sell, whether it's in a month or a year or 2 years, here's what's going to happen. You're going to have now the new world of real estate. You're probably going to have a virtual listing presentation where you'll meet them virtually on Zoom or FaceTime or something like that. They don't have to come out to your home. You can fill out a home quote questionnaire and you can describe the home, and we'll tell you exactly what your home is worth in this crazy market, and also what you would walk away with after you pay your capital gains taxes and all of those expenses. And we're doing a lot of things online now virtually. So for me, I have a little spot on my website where you can interview me virtually. A lot of time savings and a lot of safety for you. So that's what's going to happen. Here are the things that you might want to do is some staging, some landscaping, and remodeling. Now, because we're doing things differently, you can do that virtually as well. We can take pictures of, let's say, an empty room, or even a room that has things that you might not want in there, or we can even do some virtual remodeling. And we're fully disclosing that these pictures are virtually staged, but what a great way to save time, money, and frustration is do virtual staging. So here's an example of virtual staging. This is an empty room on the left. That picture on the right, this after picture, is the same room. It just has, I don't know, what do you want to call it, fake furniture and fake furnishings. And now the person can see, oh, that's the family room. That's the living room. That's what this home would look like. Staging a home is about $4,000 a month. Virtually staging a picture is $50. So there's a big, huge expense to be saved here. This is another empty room and with a full room. Now we have virtual furniture replacement. If you've got a pool table or a piano or some older furniture, or you don't like the color on your walls, we can completely remodel or make it look completely different, a little more modern, a little more neutral on the colors, a little more space that they can see because the piano is missing. If you only have a little bit of furniture in a room, we can add more. If you have some landscaping in the winter time, we can make it look like spring to show them what the home would look like. This is the exact same picture at the exact same time. It's just been enhanced, virtual landscaping. So, and like I said, we're being really upfront. This is virtual photography. You can actually remodel your older bathroom or older kitchen to show them what it might look like after they move in, or you can even get quotes on this stuff from a contractor. You can say your bathroom, this bathroom, could look like this for $4,000 or whatever. So we're giving them ideas. We're doing things new, virtual things. Doesn't bother you a bit. You don't have to do anything at your home. So, especially on the remodeling, like I've done homes where the homeowner said, I'm not doing a thing. I'm going to move my stuff out and we're going to sell this thing as is. And I said, well, okay, fine. We'll take some before pictures and then let me do some work and replace the orange shag carpet and the olive green appliances and the Pepto-Bismol tile in the bathroom. We can do some things and just kind of show them what the potential of that home. So some great things. So in a nutshell, real estate going forward, it's very similar to what we've already been doing, except we're going to be more conscientious. We're going to be cleaner. We're going to do things more electronically. We're going to sign documents with DocuSign. We're going to do video conferencing. It's all the more important now because everything is so online that your home look really good. So we need to put some lipstick on that thing. We need to put our best foot forward, and we'll do some virtual stuff for you and in-person stuff as well. There's still that, what you need to do to get your home ready to go on the market, and that's a whole nother webinar that we're going to have. It's called Ready, Set, Go. Also, not a lot of people are going to be coming to your home. We're going to reduce that. We're not going to have just everybody and their brother coming in. And really what we're trying to do is limit the number of people, but we want those serious people to come in. So whereas before on an open house weekend, we would have 40 or 50 visitors, now we're talking about maybe 2 or 3 a day. So it's not that difficult. It's a new way of doing it. It's a less expensive, easier way of doing it. So I think you're going to enjoy it. So remember, at the starting of the webinar, when I was talking about how I called all my clients and asked them, if the retirement community called you today, would you go? And they came up with these concerns. Well, I think these concerns are best answered not by me, but by Jason, who is at the retirement community at Brookdale. He gets these comments, concerns from probably everybody that he meets. I'm sure this threads throughout everybody that's thinking about making a move to a retirement community. And so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand it over to Jason. He's going to introduce himself, and then I'm going to ask him these questions, and we're going to get his responses to these comments and concerns of how Brookdale's handling it. And so, I'm going to hand it over to Jason, and I'll just be quiet for a little bit.
Thanks, Brian. That was very interesting and very informative. Makes me think about a lot of things as a homeowner myself, for sure. And I agree with a lot of what you said. So thank you. I want to tell you guys all a little bit about myself. I started off just as a child. My parents helped seniors and care providers themselves by operating residential care homes for the elderly. So truly know senior needs and how caregivers help them my whole life. And the 15 years prior to joining Brookdale San Jose, I actually owned and operated a home care agency. It was my job to provide seniors with some help at home. Um, just needed a new challenge, and that's why I transitioned into Brookdale San Jose, and now sitting in the seat of the sales and marketing director. But just like Brian, it's really I feel my responsibility to bring awareness to all of the different living options available to seniors and their families in our community. So I hope that you trust that it's not just going to be discussions about Brookdale San Jose. I'm really going to talk about all those options. I did see residential care homes. I worked at a home care agency. Part of those jobs, I was in other nursing facilities. So I've really seen every different option, and I think there's value in all of those. Of course, as a sales director, I'd love you to explore my community, but I hope you trust that I'll guide you in the right direction, just like Brian shared himself.
Wow, I've never met somebody that could actually say, I've been working with seniors my entire life. That's pretty impressive. Very good. All right, so that first one, the first concern I got, isn't it better to stay in my own familiar home? I'm comfortable here versus going to a community. So, Jason, what would you say to somebody who came to you, or someone was on your waiting list, had been on the list, let's say a year or two, and they said, "Oh, no, 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 I'm going to stay here." What would you say there?
Great question. Valid concern for sure. I would have that same question for my parents. I think at the end of the day, you have to think about why you showed interest in the first place. Has that changed at all? But ultimately, our community still is providing the same benefits. Pre-COVID, right? The management of your home, the shopping for food and supplies, the tedium of cooking your own meals, maybe being isolated, the home repairs, none of that's changing because of COVID. And all of those benefits still apply today here at our community. The loneliness, for example, it is still a community. Maybe we're not having large gatherings. Of course, we're going to discourage that, but it is still a thriving community.
Okay. Yeah, the managing the home repairs, people coming to your home and they haven't been checked out, because that's a scary thing. You don't know who's coming through, where they've been, so a lot going on there. I can see that. I can see why you would want to stay, but I can also see why you would want to go. There's so many controls in place. Um, a lot of people are saying they're just going to wait till this is all over, and like I said, we don't know if it's going to be over. Is it this the new normal? So if someone says to you, Jason, "Hey, I'm going to wait 6 months, call me back in 6 months when this is all over," what would you say there?
Again, another common concern or comment shared with me. I have plenty of examples of people that waited and it was not the right move. Let's talk about a couple of the things here. It's never good to wait too long. Um, I say it's kind of thinking of it as a selfish thing to take advantage of our community and not rely on so much as a need. That's what the second bullet point. It's about the wealth of this community, all of the things that are available. It's not necessarily something that you have to need, but you want to take advantage of these things. Um, Risk having zero safety net if you need any assistance or help. So, uncovering that reason why you called in the first place. During COVID, you're still not getting that assistance or help at home. And here there's all types of resources, whether it's the dining or care staff, or it's a team of directors right outside their door. There's, a call to the front desk. And so, again, that's not coming to your home during COVID. That's something that's available here. If you do end up needing home care, you and your family will deal with the hassle of hiring caregivers, watching them and hoping they show up and actually help. Absolutely true. I ran a home care agency. It is an option that's good for some people, but it's definitely a responsibility right now during COVID that you probably don't want to deal with. Um, and then some other things here, your name may move up on the waiting list. You got home selling safeguards in place that Brian's talked about, and move-in process safeguards in place too that I can talk about in greater detail later.
I would imagine that the in-home care uh, industry is probably busting at the seams right now, because even if you didn't need in-home care before all of this pandemic, now, okay, maybe I will take advantage of having someone come to my home so I don't have to go wait in line at Trader Joe's or Whole Foods and all of those kinds of things. Now, if we're overwhelming that system of in-home care companies, then it's going to get hard to have consistency of, oh, I get the same person each time. I can trust this person. I can trust the in-home care company that's sending them out. Is the in-home care company I'm working with insured and bonded? Do they do background checks on their people? All of that stuff, the turnover they're going to have, the retention. And if you're only needing a few hours a day, you're probably not a high priority where they would want to actually cater more to the people that need 10 and 12 and maybe even 24-hour care, where they're getting, that's the biggest bang for their buck on the in-home care company. So that's a real unknown and real scary thing as far as doing the in-home care. And the great thing about Brookdale is it's all right there. You don't have to have an in-home care company coming to Brookdale. Brookdale's going to be there for you already. So I'm going to do a whole webinar on in-home care versus a continuing care retirement community. The costs, the benefits, the features, the things that are untold, things like that. So, and
Yeah,
also yeah. And
I was
you
gonna
would
say
know
you're
that.
absolutely
You know
right.
that firsthand being in-home care guy.
Yeah, and actually, I still stay in contact with a lot of home care agencies. We do work together with them, and they are, like you said, busting at the seams. They're doing well, but any new residents or new clients that are looking for that, it's becoming thinned out for sure. There's
Yeah.
just so many caregivers in demand, and so it's curious to see what's going to happen in the next year.
And I would imagine supply and demand, the hourly rate's going to go up because now they can charge more because they have so many clients. Another real cool thing I just thought about while you were saying that is you probably work with in-home care companies, and in-home care companies can come in and help your residents above and beyond, sort of a la carte, above and beyond what Brookdale does. And if that homeowner, or if that resident at Brookdale calls and says, I'm at Brookdale, I'm sure that's going to carry a lot more weight with that in-home care company than it would if this is just, Janice Smith. So another good thing about Brookdale is you guys carry a lot of clout. You're a big corporate company, and people pay attention to you. These in-home care companies pay attention to you. So very cool. All right. So no sense waiting till it's over because we don't know if it's ever going to be over. And the other concern was, hey, I have to be there at a setting, at a community. I've heard things on the news, being there with other residents. What would you say about being with other residents at Brookdale? Do you get that concern?
Of course. Again, another valid concern, great question to ask. You want to ask all these questions, and hopefully, I have the answers for you. So, just like your home at Brookdale is your own space. So, you're going to have your own patio or balcony. Every single unit here has its own private outdoor space on patio or balcony. If you want a shelter in place, you can do that, and you're still going to have the support right outside your door with, meals being delivered by the dining team every day. We're doing COVID testing twice a week, so the staff is, you know, cleared of that. Should you need assistance, well, there's a team of directors in the front desk that's always a phone call away. So you don't really have to leave your home like you would if you were at your private residence now. All of those resources you would have to leave your home, or someone would come into your home. And we have a ton of strict safety measures in place, discouraging visits. But safely distanced hellos and greetings from other residents and staff is still happening. You still need to maybe walk to get your mail, or if you want to go out on a walk outside, we have walking trails right outside our building. So it is a very safe setting. All of the safety measures in place. That's one of the huge benefits of working for Brookdale. It is a large company, so we have a ton of resources, whether it was putting an emergency center together right off the beginning, or knowing how to allocate our resources to equipment. All of that was placed. But again, our residents are still going to have some interaction. It's just going to be safely.
Yeah, I think the sort of thread that we're talking about that resonates through the whole presentation is you're asking yourself, is it safer to stay at home or is it safer to go to Brookdale? And that's why we're talking about all of this. But the one thing comes to mind for me is that when you go to a retirement community, the cruise ship on land, the Brookdale, you're around other homeowners. I'm going to say homeowners just because, you're there and it's your new home. But you're around like-minded people who are just as concerned that they're in a high-risk category as well. And so they're very cognizant of the fact that I want to wear my mask. I want you to wear your mask. I want to do social distancing. I want to be careful. And when you're in your own home, maybe not everybody's careful as you are. Maybe not everybody's on high alert as you are. Maybe there's the kid driving up from the Safeway delivery truck, without his mask on or something. You don't have to worry about that when you're around like-minded people at a community. So I think you're safer there because everybody is just so on high alert, and that would give me peace of mind knowing that, everybody thinks the way I think. So, yeah, I think it actually is safer. All right, the next thing I was getting from people is, hey, is it still the cruise ship on land? Is the community still vibrant, right? And so, of course, at the beginning, there was probably all on lockdown and everything kind of stopped. But I think, just as in real estate, we've pivoted, we've adapted, we've changed, we've grown, we've said, okay, this is the new normal, this is how we're going to do it. And so, Jason, has Brookdale kind of, tried to keep up or tried to do anything different or new?
Of course, it's we've learned a lot this year, and a lot of things are new, and I think that's going to be the new normal. We'll continue to embrace some of these things that we've implemented, like virtual visits and whatnot. But the community is vibrant. The best way I can explain it is the amount of action and how many times I've engaged with someone at a safe distance here at the community versus when I go home. When I'm at home, it is me and my family, and we're not interacting with other people. It's very secluded. We do try to get out, but here at the community, it doesn't involve a lot of planning or going out in order to get that vibrant lifestyle that the community's accustomed to. I'm sure things are different. There are certain programs and activities that are postponed. We do have a vaccine coming soon, so I imagine a lot of these programs and activities are going to be coming back very quickly. So we've had happy hours and drives along the coast, live concerts, parties, and all of that stuff's going to be coming back definitely sometime this year, I'm sure. And I hope you're here to take advantage of that.
Cool. There's social distancing, but it's not fun distancing. You're still doing things, right? You're just doing it in a safer way. Yeah. So, and are you doing anything like virtual classes or where they're logging into a Zoom thing, or are you doing anything the COVID way, of trying to stick with what you used to do in a new, different way?
Absolutely. And that's stuff that will never change now. We have residents with family members out of state, and now we have our programs director coming over and dropping off an iPad and setting them up on Zoom. And we had TED Talks out in our Almaden room, virtually available. I did my chef showcase. I'd love for you guys to ask me about that. I'll try to send you guys a link. But our chef and our dining services director put on a great display and showed how to cook a meal, something that you guys can watch and learn how to do at home. But also, it was something that our residents here were actually going to eat. So not only do you get a glimpse into the vibrant lifestyle here, but you're learning something. And that's just one example of all the creative things we're doing today that we'll probably continue to do going forward, but was probably never done previous.
Right. And we think about so much more than we used to think about, right? Because
Right.
we have to do it differently. So, um, all right. So, last and most important, this was the one I got. How is the management of the community preparing for this, right? Because in March, maybe we used to have fire drills or earthquake drills or whatever, or gas leak drills, but I don't think we had pandemic drills, and no one really knew what to do. Um, so I would think that a corporate company like yours, because you have all these people behind the scenes, that they can enable you and act quicker and move in to come up with these new ways of doing things a lot faster than a mom and pop boutique smaller place would have had to go through. So give us a warm fuzzy feeling of why Brookdale is safe, and what you guys did in March to really react, and how you're doing things now.
I love answering this question. I'm very proud of the team. I was a mom and pop owner myself, but there's tons of benefits of being a part of Brookdale, acting quickly. Mentioned it earlier in this webinar about the emergency contact center, and so there was 40 plus years of experience. These individuals, these leaders, coming together with a plan very quickly. These things were all done before the county or state or anything like that asked or demanded these things. Um, I like to revert back to this situation where I crossed paths with our executive director months ago, and the county came by to kind of inspect how we've been doing. And there was so much pride there that we handled it well, that they were glowing reviews from the county on all the safety measures that we had in place. So we're very, very, very proud of that. Me, the sales and marketing director, one of the things that's closed is our bistro. It's a great thing for family to visit residents, to grab a drink at the bar and play some pool. We have that closed right now, and it's just full of protective equipment. So we are making safety the priority and still trying to live that vibrant lifestyle. Very proud of the team of directors and all of their associates, their passion for seniors and going above and beyond to work longer hours or whatever it is to ensure safety. Um, and we're regularly communicating with our residents about any of those concerns. Of course, if there's any concern about safety, that's our priority. So please ask us right away. But all in all, management of the community and being well prepared for this emergency. I'm glad I'm part of this brand because I can't imagine trying to navigate this on your own.
Yeah, putting all those things in place, thinking about all those things, how often things are changing. Can I go out? Can I not go out? You guys are handling all of that for them. So, in that corporate view of things too, as well, so that, anyway, it makes me feel more secure. Like if my mom was going there, I'd say, yeah, go and be safer, be around a bunch of people and service people that are very cognizant of what you're going through at the same time. So, and then do you like, are you meeting with all of the residents on a regular basis? Do you do that with Zoom or an email, or how are you interacting and communicating all of these things that are changing so often? How do you get that information out to the residents?
Many different ways. The first thing, we have memos and letters coming from our directors to our residents weekly. They are getting the update on what's the status or new protocol. We have signed things up at the front desk for people checking in. There are virtual opportunities available, but for the most part, we're just staying consistently updated through letters to our residents that are getting delivered every day, because we do have dining staff visiting them 3 times a day, if nothing else. So there's plenty of opportunities to communicate.
Great. Okay. All right. All right. Well, I think you've answered all the questions that, everybody that I've run into has had. And you probably had the same concerns, right? Back in March of last year, I could only imagine people calling you and saying, hey, put me on hold. Let's see what's going to happen. But
Yeah, let me kind of sum it up. Basically, there's a lot of people that have concerns and they're all valid. They're the same ones. If this webinar didn't answer it for you, call me and ask about it. Um, but at the end of the day, it's a vibrant community and it's safe here. And I talked to a lot of people that were nervous or hesitated, and they're feeling more isolated, or the management of their home has only gotten harder and more difficult. So just think about why you considered it in the first place, and hopefully I can bring awareness to any of the concerns and uncover anything that you're thinking about.
great. Okay. And on the real estate side of things, you know, keep in touch. Downsizing is a really important thing to be thinking about, but I know you don't want a whole lot of people coming through your home, but there's a lot of things you can do to kind of grease the skids as we approach your transition, okay? And just keep thinking about the future. Stop, I'm not telling you what to do, but don't focus so much on what's happening exactly right now and be so myopic. Think about the fact that, your future plan, what you told yourself you're going to be doing, whether it was about your health or your social stuff or your food stuff or your transportation stuff, all of those reasons, keep those in mind. Imagine picturing yourself in the future where all those things are taken care of and you're not so attached to the real estate market and all the crazy things that are going on, and you're on the cruise ship and you're enjoying yourself. So keep that in mind if you're having second thoughts or you're having that fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Wanted to let you know that we do have more webinars coming up in the future. They're going to be on the first Tuesday of every month. You're going to get an email from Brookdale, and that'll spell out all of the webinars that we're going to have. They've all been spaced out and they are chronologically presented in the order you need to hear them. And that's so we have those coming up. You need to register in advance using the email that gets sent out by Brookdale. The first one, briefly, I'm just going to briefly describe these webinars. The holistic homeowner, that is the backbone. That's the whole philosophy around everything that I teach, is that how important these decisions are. When you make a wrong decision in your 30s and 40s, you can recuperate. When you make a wrong decision in your 60s, 70s, 80s, those important decisions are even that much more critical because it's harder to recuperate from a bad decision. And what I want to get across to you is that everything has to be taken into consideration. It's a holistic approach. Your finances, your health, your family, your trust, your real estate, all of those things are holistically interconnected. One thing affects the other thing, and they all have to be taken into consideration when you're making a transition. So when someone calls me and says, oh, hey, I want to sell my house, I say, hold on a minute. Let's figure out, where are you today? Where are you going in the future? And how do you get there? And let's create a homeowner flight plan. So that's on Tuesday, March 2nd. They're always from 11 to noon, always the first Tuesday of the month. The next one after Holistic Homeowner is the actual myths of retirement living. And I know a lot of us are on the fence and they've heard good things and bad things. But what Jason and I are going to do is we're going to dispel those myths. And you're going to get answers to these tough questions that I know you have. And sometimes it's uncomfortable to ask Jason, let's say in person, or sometimes maybe you might not want to go down to the community because you think some salesperson's going to try and put you on the waiting list or feed you lunch or something. But So what we're going to do in the comfort of your own home during a webinar is we're going to answer these questions like, why is a CCRC better? Is a month-to-month better or a buy-in better? What if I run out of money? What if my spouse's health declines and mine doesn't? All of those questions. I'll be the Oprah, and I'll ask Jason these tough questions, and you'll get those answers. And that's in April. And then we have right-sizing your things for life. This will be done not by me, but by a downsizer, right-sizer, or move manager. And this is everything. Everyone needs to be downsizing. Even the downsizer needs to downsize. So she's going to talk about managing all of that stuff and how that makes your life more stressful, how to make good decisions when you're downsizing, how to develop a plan. Like Jason's going to give you a floor plan, and we're going to figure out what furniture is going and what isn't. We'll talk about the value of all of your stuff, and then finding the motivation to get started. I know it's very difficult. It's so overwhelming to think, okay, I need to downsize 50 years in my 5-bedroom, 3-car garage house. But I tell you, by the time you're done with this webinar, you'll be cleaning out your junk drawer in your kitchen, and we'll help you get the ball rolling almost like a personal trainer. So that's in May. Really good one. Everyone loves that webinar. Then this is the one I was telling you about, the in-home care versus retirement living. So some people they think, well, I'll just age in place. I don't have a mortgage. It's probably cheaper just to stay in my home and have somebody come and help me when I need some help. And I'll do it a la carte, and I'll just go a few hours now, and 5 years I'll do for 10 hours. But we're going to talk about really the true costs of in-home care. We're going to talk about the true costs of retirement living communities, specifically a CCRC, how much you're paying, what do you get for that? And then we'll talk about kind of like pull back the kimono. And I know Jason's going to be perfect for this because he knows firsthand in-home care communities. They have their place. They're great. But as far as what am I going to do in-home care or a retirement community, that's what you need to really figure out. There's a lot of pros and cons, and we're going to talk about that. And also how to interview an in-home care company and how to interview a CCRC. So we're going to prepare you, we're educating you, we're enabling you to make these great decisions. So that'll be in June. Then in July, this is our final ready, set, go. This is everything you'll be needing to think about and do between the time you, let's say, put your name on the waiting list and the time you move in. So we're going to talk about capital gains and how you're holding title and how to sell your home as is and how to get your home ready to go on the market and what you really don't need to do, because I don't want you spending a whole lot of money on your home just to get it ready to go on the market, especially in a seller's market. Talk about the actual real estate transaction and everything that's going on in that. And then also, what are the expectations of the retirement community that you're going to, and how can we exceed those expectations and get you ready? Now, remember, we want to think ahead. We want to spread all this homework out. So let's be proactive. Let's engage sooner. And let's I kind of use the analogy of like a three-legged stool. You've got Jason as one of the legs. You've got your downsizer as one of the legs. And then you've got your realtor as the other leg. And you don't want to be dealing with any more people than that. Let those 3 people help you through this transition to make it very smooth and very proactive. Okay, so that's in July. Now here's where I kind of wanted to get some feedback, because we have some future webinars. Once these 6 are done, then what else do you want to hear about? Do you want to hear about home safety, whether it's at your current home or at Brookdale? Do we want to talk about cybersecurity? That's super important. Now we're signing all sorts of documents that say the dangers of what's going on in the cyber community, even when you're doing a real estate transaction. And there are some crazy things that happen. I had a client willfully send $200,000 to somebody they didn't know because that somebody was calling them and said that they were the lady's grandchild or something. There's crazy stuff going on. So we want to educate, help you, and arm you and get you ready for this stuff. Also, we can talk about planning for incapacity. I know you don't want to hear that word, incapacity, but we have Janice Carney, who is probably the top elder law attorney in all of California. And she's going to come in and talk about ways of sheltering your funds. to set them aside. This is legally, so that you can then take advantage of programs for people and funds that are available for people who don't have a lot of a big estate. Now, even if you do have a big estate, we can show you how to make that estate look a little smaller. And like I said, all legal stuff, education wise. Then we get into some fun at Brookdale. We'll take a tour of some of the groups and clubs and all of the activities that are going on at Brookdale. And maybe we'll go behind the scenes of Brookdale and interview the chef and the facilities manager and the activities coordinator and things like that. So these are all things that we're having in going on in our mind. We want to hear from you as to what you might want to hear about. So anyway, that's what's going on in the future. Lastly, if you don't want to wait till the end of the year to go through one webinar every month and you want a personal consultation, you can meet with Jason, you can meet with myself. We're harmless. I'm not going to stick a sign in your lawn. Jason's not going to, get you into a unit if you're not ready, but you have some things you want to talk about, right? You want to talk about capital gains, and you want to talk about, should I buy first, or should I sell first? Should I occupy? Should I vacate? Should I rent out my home for cash flow, or should I sell it for a cash out? Lots to think about. It's all there. If you do want to get a hold of me, you can go to stayorgohomeowner.com. There's a little tab in there for a consultation. There's the website. No strings attached, no expectations on my part. Just here to help you make good decisions. So thanks for being here for the webinar, The New World of Real Estate and Retirement Living. Thanks for Jason for putting this all together and inviting me to speak with you guys. We'll see you at the next webinar next month, and make sure you sign up and register in advance for any of those webinars you might want to see. And Jason, you have any parting words?
No, I really appreciate the conversation. A lot of interesting stuff today. And again, I really do want to stress that it's not just Keller Williams or Brookdale. We are two people with a ton of resources in our community, a lot of wealth of knowledge. And if we don't have the answers for you, we'll definitely find the right person for you, because we do want you guys making the best decision for you or your loved one. So thanks. I look forward to future webinars.
Great. Take care, gang. Bye-bye.